All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Yud Aleph in Masechah Shabbos. We got a little further down to the Mishnah, the Mishnah on top, maybe, 12 lines on top or so. So Mishnah says, Hachayshesh b'shinav, continuing with talking about medication. One is not allowed to take medicine on Shabbos. He might come to go ahead and crush herbs and make medication. So therefore, we say don't take any medication unless there's some sort of suffix pikuach nefesh. Anyway, Hachayshesh b'shinav, a person who's feeling pain and discomfort in his teeth, lo yigameh bas, chaymetz, he should not go ahead and sip chaymetz. Chaymetz is vinegar of matabehu kadarko, but he can go ahead and, let's say he has vinegar right at his meal, he can go ahead and dip basically bread in the vinegar and eat his bread. And if by chance, and if he does get healed by the fact that he basically added vinegar to some of his food, to some of his dips, and he's healed, that's fine, because that doesn't have an appearance of taking medication. And a person who is also has pain in his masnav, in his stomach, in his loins, he should not go ahead and smear wine or vinegar of al-sachus, because those are not normal. Those are only done for medicinal purposes. Of al-sachus Hashem, but he can go ahead and use oil because oil is normal. However, but not rose oil. Rose oil is something which is used, not commonly used not used by the common person for anything more than medication. Therefore, you can't do it. And b'nei malachim sachin shem v'red al makosayim. However, princes, right, the sons of kings, they can go ahead and anoint with oil, rose oil, on their wounds, because that's the normal way that they do it during the week, and therefore they do it during the week, even for regular, not only for medicinal purposes. Therefore, it'll be okay. And Rabbi Shimon says, well, all Jews are b'nei malachim. We're considered to be b'nei malachim. We are like princes, and therefore we should have the same halachic status as a prince. And therefore, if it's normal for a prince to use rose oil, not just casually, not for medicinal purposes, and therefore be mutar on Shabbos, so too for Jews should have the same halacha according to Rabbi Shimon, and we'll see that machlokes in the Gemara. So let's see the Gemara now. Zok the Gemara, Ramile Rav Acha Aricha. So Rav Acha Aricha, right? Aricha means like tall, long, right? The who Rav Acha Bar Papa. So he asked, I got a kash to Rav Acha, and he is so tall. Rav Acha, right, is Rav Acha Bar Papa, and he asked Rabbi Avo, and he asked Rabbi Avo, Tanan, it says in our Mishnah, one who goes ahead and feels pain in his teeth, he shouldn't go ahead and sip on vinegar. So it sounds like taking vinegar is good for your teeth, right? It's medicine for your teeth. Your teeth are paining you, right? Then go ahead and sip on vinegar. The pasuk says we're talking about a lazy person. Says right? Like the second part is like smoke to the eyes and vinegar to the teeth. So you see, vinegar to teeth is a bad thing. So you're talking about it to cure right? To cure, and this seems to say that it's bad. So like kasha ha b'kiyut depri ha b'chala. What is actually, I guess, the juice to unripened fruit? That which one was that going on? That is bad. That was what the pasuk is talking about. That is bad for your teeth, and that which our Mishnah is talking about is the vinegar itself. Vinegar itself is actually good for the teeth. Same way you can say hava haba kachala. Really, both of them are talking about vinegar. And hadika maka, hadalika maka. One is if you have a wound, then it heals. But if you don't have a wound, then it's not good, right? Ika maka masi. If it has a wound, then it heals. And our Mishnah is talking about if you have a wound and you take it for your teeth, therefore it will help your teeth. However, leka maka, but that what you're talking about with a lazy person, right? It's like vinegar to the teeth. It's like talking about a person who doesn't have a wound on his teeth, like a maka marapi. Then it loosens his gums, it loosens his teeth, and therefore it's not good. So therefore, that was what the pasuk is referring to. Now, the next part of the Mishnah says, "Lo yigames a chaymetz." A person should not go ahead and sip on chaymetz. Should sip on vinegar. I've a time in a brayso. Lo yigameu pilate. A person should not go ahead and sip on vinegar and spit it out. It sounds like on Shabbos. But it sounds like he can't go ahead and sip it and spit it out, but it sounds like he can go ahead and sip it and drink it, because then that doesn't appear like medication. So which one is it? Our Mishnah seems to say, right, sip on it to swallow it, and this one, which is forbidden, and this Bryce seems to say to sip and swallow would be okay, you just can't sip and spit. So that which our Mishnah says you can't do it is even referring to sipping and spitting. And And kindly, if I know what I said, place. So Tanan, right? So that's what our bishop was talking about. So that was Abayi's teres. Now Rav is going to give a different teres. Rav Omar filu tema megame bala. Even if our Mishnah, you say, is talking about a case of sipping and swallowing, and the case over there says you only sip and spit. You cannot sip and spit, but you can sip and swallow. And our Mishnah says even swallowing is usher. So why is it? What's the difference? Kan lifnei tibul, kan liachar tibul. One is before one goes ahead and dips and eats, right? In other words, if you go ahead before you go ahead, which is normal. So people do go ahead and sip on vinegar and swallow before. So then it doesn't look like medication. That's the case over there. But in our case where it says you can't go ahead and swallow vinegar, that's referring to after one eats. After one eats, it's not normal. So therefore it appears like taking medicine. The name of Melifnei Tivil Shari Lachar Tivil Nami Shari. Well, I understand. So you're telling me the difference is whether before or after a meal is that which allows you to go ahead and swallow the vinegar or not to take it on Shabbos, and that's one is before, one is after. I understand. Why don't you say by the fact that before the meal, like as an appetizer before, it's normal to go ahead and swallow, so that's mutter. So too after it should be mutter. Why? It's really the Rava, because we've heard Rava teach the Islay Hoyel. He has the concept of Hoyel, right? Hoyel literally means since, right? The concept is since something is mutter in this case, it's mutter in this case. Since swallowing is permitted before the meal, swallowing should be permitted after the meal. Dama Rava, where do we see that Rava says? The lack of media the Shabbos, Shari, will be Yom Kippur Maser. Because by Shabbos, a person is Mechal Shabbos, he's Chayiv Misa, right? He's Chayiv Misa as opposed to a person is Mechal Yom Kippur, he's Chayiv Kares. Right? So Kares is a less level than Chayiv Misa, right? Chayiv Misa is more severe. So if something is mutter on Shabbos, certainly it should be mutter on Yom Kippur, right, when it comes to doing malacha. Hoyel de Shabbos Shari, Yom Kippur Nami Shari. All right, it says something which is mutter on Shabbos should also be mutter on Yom Kippur. So now over there, that actually had to do with a person who needed to become tahor. So as a shaila of using a mikvah, and the person goes to the mikvah, it could be an isser of being misakin kli, right? We're not talking about in terms of the isser of bathing, right? That's a separate entity itself. But we're talking about the isser of basically completing a kli or going to the mikvah and becoming tahor. So on Shabbos, one is allowed to go ahead and be misakin kli. It's not considered to be malach of misakin kli, of completing one by becoming tahor. So therefore, you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. If you're allowed to do it on Shabbos, you're also allowed to do it on Yom Kippur. So that was the svara over there. So why do we say just like we say hoil over there? Let's say hoil over here. Just like before is mutter, so too after is mutter. So our answer is hada be Rav mihach. So Rabbi was chayzer. He says, you know what? That's not a good teretz. You're right. If before the meal is mutter, after the meal should be mutter, and therefore you're right. So therefore maybe our Mishnah is just not talking about spitting. Our Mishnah is right. Our Mishnah is not talking about swallowing. It's only talking about spitting, but swallowing would be mutter, just like that brisa. So Gemara says, "Mima," and no, he would agree with Abaye. And who says he was chayzer from that? Maybe he was chayzer from the whole concept of hoil. Maybe we don't say the concept of hoil. Maybe just because something is mutter in one case, not mutter in the other. So maybe he was chayzer from that svara he had over there between Yom Kippur and Shabbos. So it says, no, you can't say that. Why? The time we learn a brisa, kol chayvet tvilos tovlin kedarkan bein betas ba'af bein Yom Kippur. Any time a person is chayiv to go ahead and be toivel, to go to the mikvah, then he is allowed to go ahead the normal way, whether it's Tisha B'Av, whether it's Yom Kippurim. There is no problem of bathing for comfort. It's not a bathing of comfort. It's an issue. It's something of person is becoming tahor, which obviously doesn't apply nowadays, and we don't go ahead and bathe then. Fine. So 2 dots. A person has a difficulty, right? Pains in his loins. It says he goes ahead and he anoints with oil. So Amr Bi'ava Barzabda Amr Rav Halacha Rabbi Shimon. Halacha is like Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon said, now when it comes, we said rose oil. So how should rose oil be used? Only can be used by princes, because that's normal. Says Rabbi Shimon, Jews are princes, and therefore rose oil is always mutter. So it says, so Amr Bi'ava Amr Rav, in the name of Rav, Halacha Rabbi Shimon. Halacha is like Rabbi Shimon. So the name of the Rav Rabbi Shimon. Are you telling me the Rav holds like Rabbi Shimon when it comes to Shabbos? It was quoted in the name of Rav. Right? So we have a case of one. Oh, I knew it was fine. All right.
So, Mr. Chayzin Aziza, basically a case of Gemara discusses many cases. You have a barrel and you have a cloth in there holding up the barrel. So can you go ahead and push this barrel, which is wet, from the contents, whether it's beer or wine or whatever it is inside the barrel, pushing it in? Because when you plug the hole with a rag, it's squeezing the rag when you push it to make it tighter. When it squeezes the rag, it's inevitably squeezing out. It's being the seichet, right? You're squeezing out a liquid that's in the rag. Is that mutar not to do on Shabbos? So Rav over there says, hi, Mr. Diziza, Osir, all right, turn the pages. La Aduka b'Yom Tova. You can't do it on Yontif, right? So you can't do it on Yontif because he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds his Osir, Rabbi Shimon holds his mutter. So how could you say Rav holds like Rabbi Shimon if you see he holds like Rabbi Yehuda? So where it says Rabbi Shimon, even in that case, even Rabbi Shimon would agree that it's Osir. Why? Both Abai and Rabba said, both have said, Mother Rabbi Shimon, Sik Reisha v'lo Yamos. Right, when Rabbi Shimon says that something is going to inevitably happen, it's automatically going to happen, right? When you have a damp or wet rag and you're pushing it in tighter into a small hole into the side of a barrel, it's going to squeeze out liquids. So even in that case, Rabbi Shimon would agree. If something is automatically going to happen, even though that wasn't his intentions, then it will be usher. So we see that in such a case, that maybe Rabbi Shimon doesn't argue. Halacha Rabbi Yehuda. They stated, so Rav Chia bar Ashi in the name of Rav, so the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rabbi Shimon. So we see, which is going to be our kasha, right? The kasha was Rav said halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, and everyone's considered b'nei malachim. Now we're trying to prove that Rav doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda and not like Rabbi Shimon, right? If the Rav Chana bar Ami Amar Shmuel says the name of Shmuel halacha Rabbi Shimon, that only Shmuel says halacha is Rabbi Shimon. If Rav Chia bar Avin Masni Lo Beloy Gavri and Rav Chia bar Avin, they just quoted without quoting others in the name. Now, earlier we said Rav Chia bar Ashi in the name of Rav, and he says without anyone in the name of Rav. He just says Rav Omar halach Rabbi Yehuda, Shmuel Omar halach Rabbi Shimon. So Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda, and Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon. So how could you say in our Mishnah that Rav holds like Rabbi Shimon if we see over here that he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rabbi Shimon? So says Rav Ani v'Ari shebechura, and me and the lion who is in my chabura right now is one of the stronger ones in the shir. Right, and Tegimano Mana, and they explain who that was. That was Rabbi Chia bar Avi. That was Rabbi Chia bar Avi. Halach Rabbi Shimon. The halach is like Rabbi Shimon. However, the lav mitame, but not for his reasoning. In other words, yes, the halach indeed is that Jews can go ahead and use rose oil, right, to go ahead and anoint and to put on Shabbos, and it's not a problem of refuah on Shabbos. So the question is, but it's not for the svar of Rabbi Shimon. Why? So my halach Rabbi Shimon v'lav mitame. What does it mean? The halach is like Rabbi Shimon and not for his reasoning. Ilem halach Rabbi Shimon deshari. If you're saying the halach is like Rabbi Shimon, then it's mutar v'lav mitame, and but I was reasoning was dilu Rabbi Shimon saver masi. That maybe Rabbi Shimon holds that it cures, and therefore, nevertheless, you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. It cures. The Rav saver lo masi. The reason why Rav says you're allowed to use it, maybe because Rav says that using rose oil doesn't do anything, right? If it doesn't do anything, it's not medication. So maybe that's the reason why Rav says mutter. That's not true. The Savar Rav le'masi. Rav holds it doesn't work. Well, it says b'nei malachim sachin al gavi makosayim shemen nevered. All right, michlad amasi. Right? When they said princes use it, obviously princes use it because it works. So obviously Rav isn't arguing on the mitzias. He's not arguing, saying that it doesn't work. Obviously, it does work. So once again, what is the reason according to between Rabbi Shimon and Rav? El halach Rabbi Shimon deshari. In other words, that which Rabbi Shimon says is mutter v'lav mitame, not for Rabbi Shimon's reason. Why? Dila Rabbi Shimon saver afal gadol shechiach shari. Because according to Rabbi Shimon holds that really it's not common for a regular Jew to use. It's very expensive, and everyone knows that it's being used for refuah. However, since the Jews are b'nei malachim, so therefore it's not beneath them to go ahead and use this, right? It's something which is considered to be normal. It's not considered to be an extra wild, extravagant expense. It's a normal thing. The Rav Sav, and in other words, and he holds all times mutter. Is always mutter to do because you're a prince. The Rav Sav no. If it's common, in other words, let's say it's very cheap in the area and everyone uses rose oil in rare pieces, then that would be okay. But if it was not common to use and it was only basically used by very wealthy individuals or princes, then it would not be mutter to do it because then it appears that you're taking medication. In the place of Rav, the reason why he paskin and said it was mutter to use is shechiach mashka devarda, because rose oil was common in that area, and since it was common in that area, it wasn't considered to be extra special to use. It doesn't appear like medication, and therefore it's mutter to use. Hajin loch shmona shratzim. Mouth.
Simon type of mazel type of mazel type Simon type yeah Simon type of mazel
Simon tov, mazel tov, Simon tov.
Simon type of
Yeah. L'chol Yisrael.
All right. Mazel tov. All right, next, that was the 14th parak. I think there's 24. Now on to the next parak. Parak ve'elu ksharim. These are the knots. Parak. All right, here we go. The mute button. Beauty. Ve'elu ksharim. We need a mute button like when they're in person.
Hey,
Ve'elu ksharim shechayavon lem kesher. So these are knots. One is not allowed to go ahead and make a knot on Shabbos, and similarly, that which you're not allowed to go ahead and make a knot, you're also not allowed to go ahead and untie a knot. Right? Those are malachas that were done for building the Mishkan, and therefore knots were made. I think it had to do perhaps. I think it was with the traps, with set. I was setting some of the traps for capturing so the chilazon or other dyes that they used. And therefore, tying and untying is considered a malacha. So now, these are the knots that one is chayav for kesher hagmolim kesher asvinin, right? The knot of a camel and the knot of a boat. Those are forbidden knots. Just like it's chayav for making these knot on Shabbos, so too one would be chayav for untying this knot on Shabbos. And Rabbi says, no, what's the rule? Kol kesher shehu yachol atiram be'achas miyadav ein chayav nolav. Any kesher, any knot that a person go ahead and untie with one hand, that he would not be chayav for. So that's the litmus test. Let's see the Gemara. So my kesher agmolim v'kesher asvina. What is the kesher agmolim v'kesher asvina? Ilema katra dekatri zmama v'katra dekatri b'istrida. If we're talking about the leash, basically that's tied onto the nose ring of the animal, and that's of the camel, or the leash that's tied onto the ring in the front of the boat that's used to, I guess, to help tow the boat. These are not permanent knots, right? These are knots that come off, right? Sometimes when the boat is on, or when the animal is tied up and the animal is loose, that's not something that's really a permanent tie. Ella, Kitra the Zmama Gufe with these 3-day Gufe. Rather, it's the knot itself of the nose ring that keeps it in there. That's permanent when the nose ring stays in there on the camel, and also that which stays in the boat. Those stay on there permanent, and you only attach a rope to those things. But however, those knots, those are permanent ones, and those are ones he's chayav for. And the Rameir said, "Kol kesher v'chulei." So Rameir said, any knot they can do with one hand is your putter for Saboy Rav Achdube. So he asked, asked a shaila of Rav Achdeve, who was the brother of Maracha, Aniva, Rabbi Meir Mahu. What about a bow according to Rabbi Meir? Well, let's say a bow, right? The way you do is a bow. So Mahu, what's Allah there? So time of the Rabbi Meir, since it's on the svar is if you undo it with one hand. If you undo it with one hand, so obviously a bow, right? You just you pull one of the single strings and the bow does. And this is something you're able to undo with with only one hand. Oh, Dilma, maybe that what she says is the test you undo with one hand, because if you undo with one hand, then it's not tight, right? If it's not tight together, then you can undo with one hand. But if it's tight, normally you can't do it. But with a bow, it's tight. So maybe it should be forbidden. So take the Gemara doesn't answer, right? I would have thought Pasha that, hey, you can do it with one hand, you can do it with one hand, but it says no, it's not Pasha. Maybe the whole reason it's one hand because it shows it's loose. But if a bow is tied, pulled tightly, and it's not loose, perhaps that will be an issue. So take Gemara does not give a teretz on that. Obviously, we do tie. I've never heard of anyone aser tying shoelaces on a single bow on Shabbos. So the halachas would appear to be more makeup. Let's see. Naya Mishnah. Mishnah says. Yesh l'cha ksharim she'ein chayvin alehem kesher. She'ein chayvin alehem kesher agmalim v'kesher asvina. There are knots that one is not chayiv for, like he would be chayiv for the camel knot and the sailor knot, as we just described in the previous Mishnah. Kaisheres isha miftach chaluka A woman's allowed to go ahead and I guess tie I guess from her shirt or her blouse. I guess tie up the chute sivka, or that which is used for I guess her hat, the shell piskaya, or that of which is used for I guess her girdle, the ritzules manal a sandal, or straps for his shoes or sandals. The noides yain, also flasks of wine, the shemen and oil, the kader shalbasar, they wrap meat in cloth and you tie it up there. All these are you able to do. You're also allowed to go ahead and type an animal so it doesn't get out. So let's see the Gemara. So the Gemara says, understand, it's the kasha. So first we started off, said, there are knots that you're not chayiv for, like you are by a camel's knot or a sailor's knot. So it sounds like it sounds like, okay, you're not chayiv a chatas for them, but it sounds like it's also to do. You can't do lechatchila, you shouldn't do it. And then, right, the hadar, then it says tani kasheres ishim aftech chaluka v'afilu lechatchila. Then it says a woman is allowed to go ahead and tie, right? A woman is allowed to. It's mutter to go ahead and tie up her blouse. That's his mutter. So I thought we were just talking about things that you shouldn't do, and if you do it, you're putter. But it seems to be that a person can do lechatchila. So Gemara says no. Hachikam, doesn't mean to say yesh ksharim shein chayivin alem b'kekesha gemalim b'kekesha. So there are those knots that one is not chayiv for, like the knot of a camel's knot, which was the actual nose ring knot, and the sailor's knot, which is the actual ring on the boat. Umayniu. And what are those things that you're not chayiv for? That was what we just described earlier. Kitra de kitri bezmama kitra de katri bistarida. That was like the leash that attached to the nose ring and the rope that attached to the ship ring. In other words, those are the ones that could be on for a week or two. Those are ones you shouldn't do lechatchila. But if you do it, you're still putter. You don't have to bring a chatas. And that was the category of the things that you shouldn't do, but you're still putter for it. And those things there is no chiv of achatas, but there is an isser. However, those that one should not even go ahead and tie the chatchila. And what are those? That is kasheres maftech chaluka v'chule. And that was the one when he said the woman is able to go ahead and tie her blouse and the hat and the girdle and so on and so forth. And we'll continue tomorrow at Hashem, same time. Everyone have a wonderful day and be well.
Have a safe